Well, it's a day that ends in Y, which means MAGA Republicans like Lauren Boebert are either lying or saying something incredibly unintelligent. And unfortunately for Boebert, both of those things apply to her because yesterday she got caught in a massive lie and she's just getting decimated on social media for this recent statement she put out. Just not going well for her. So essentially, yesterday on Twitter/X, whatever we're calling it these days, Lauren Boebert put out this statement. She said, "Great meeting with Glenwood Springs City Councilor and former Mayor Jonathan Goads. We have secured over $51.4 million for the South Bridge, a place or a project in Colorado. Was thrilled to hear about nearly $30 million in cost savings in addition, and that my support has helped make this project a reality." So she's bragging about around $80 million in funding for her district and places around Colorado that apparently she has been able to secure. That's her claim, that she did this and it wouldn't have been possible without her work. Except not quite, because this funding didn't come from just anywhere. It didn't come from thin air. She didn't snap her fingers and it came raining down on the district. No, not at all. It came from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure deal. That's why this district got funding, because President Biden reached across the aisle and got Democrats in line to pass an infrastructure bill that invested in new roads and bridges, removing every single lead pipe in America so everybody has clean drinking water, and funding projects like this. And guess what? Lauren Boebert voted against the bill. This historic infrastructure bill that Biden and the Democrats got done, yeah, Lauren Boebert voted against it. She voted against the funding she's bragging about. She did not secure this funding. President Biden and the Democrats secured this funding, and she even got fact-checked on this post via a community note, which is like Twitter's version of a fact check. It says, "Boebert hasn't secured $51.4 million for this bridge. The money came from a Biden-Harris grant that is part of the Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program, which itself is a part of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which Boebert voted against." And of course, there's a variety of sources that back up this truth. And you can go to like any government website to see how politicians vote on policy, and you can see that Lauren Boebert and many of her fellow MAGA Republicans voted against Biden's infrastructure deal. She called it socialism. Are you kidding me? And now she's bragging about the funding. It's funny how things work like that. And I have a plenty of responses I want to show you from different officials on Twitter, which really just show you the absurdity of this. So, starting with Secretary Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary. He has been someone who has done a terrific job at calling out Republicans who take credit for policy that they voted against. And this time is no different. Secretary Buttigieg says, "Congresswoman, in what way do you believe that your support helped this project? We chose it because it's a good project and funded it using President Biden's infrastructure package, which you voted against." So Secretary Buttigieg, who's involved in a lot of these negotiations and was very involved in the infrastructure deal as transportation secretary, is fact-checking her, saying, "Hey, you are not part of this. You did not secure this funding. We, the Biden administration, chose it because it's a good project, it helps the people of Colorado, and we believe in it." Lauren Boebert was not in the room to make this happen. She did not secure this funding. Again, she voted against the funding. If Lauren Boebert would have had it her way, this funding would have never existed. This improvement would have never happened. So she doesn't get to vote against it and then take credit. And this was such a huge story on social media and just generally that even the White House called out Lauren Boebert. Their response says, one thing about congressional Republicans: they are going to take credit for investments they voted against. I love it that they're calling out Lauren Boebert, and they've done this pretty consistently, and these MAGA Republicans who take credit for policy they vote against. It's shameful. Do they think that they're just going to get away with it, that they can gaslight the American people into thinking that somehow magically they were part of it? No. People can read. People can see their votes. It's all public, Lauren. I'm sorry. And one final response I want to show you on Twitter before we talk about this all a little bit more is Representative Jason Crow, who is a Democrat from Colorado, the great state of Colorado. He said, "Hey, Colorado, Rep. Lauren Boebert actually voted against this funding. Now she's trying to take credit. This is why people call D.C. a swamp." And if you describe DC as a swamp, then Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene are the creators of that swamp, right? I mean, it's just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing that all of these Republicans get funding for their districts. They go to the location that the project is being made and built, and they take a photo op with these people and say, because of me, I got it done. And then they get fact-checked so badly for it because they voted against the policy. If Lauren Boebert would have voted for it and actually worked on getting funding for it, that's fine. Great. I disagree with her. I think she's a lunatic. But if you voted for the funding, there's no hypocrisy there. But she didn't. She did everything in her power with these MAGA Republicans to try to sink this bill. And she failed, thankfully. So now she gets to go around bragging. Give me a break. Spare me. So she's getting called out by all of these different representatives, officials, even the White House. But this point that Lauren Boebert lied on is actually a fantastic argument for the Democrats. Because if she has to lie about good policy that Joe Biden did, then maybe people should just vote for Joe Biden. Right? Even Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, these Republicans who have bragged about investments that they didn't secure, inherently agree that the funding is good. Because if they're saying, yeah, I got all this funding for my district and it's a great thing and I'm so proud of it, then they agree that the funding from the bill they voted against is a good thing. So how about instead of voting for MAGA Republicans who will stand in the way of good policy getting passed that they acknowledge is good policy, how about we just vote for President Biden, vote for House Democrats, and vote for Senate Democrats who will continue to pass good legislation, and we can just get stuff done. To me, that sounds like a far better idea and a far better plan than rewarding bad behavior. You don't reward representatives with your vote when they try to sink good policy that they acknowledge is good policy. You should reward people with your vote who actually vote for good policy. So thank you, Lauren, for number one, acknowledging that the policy is good, and two, exposing yourself as a total hypocrite and a total fraud, as if she hasn't already done that already. And the last thing I want to say on this, which I kind of touched on earlier in the video, is that I don't know why Republicans think they can get away with this stuff. Like, we can all read. We can see their votes. All of their votes are public. We can see how they talked about a certain policy and their reaction to that policy and what their vote was on that policy. We can all see this. It's all there. It's all on government websites. So you don't get to try to gaslight the American people and then get mad when people are calling you out. That's not how this works. We live in a democracy, and Lauren Boebert doesn't get to scream and shout about how bad a policy is, then take credit for the benefits of that policy, and then be mad when people are holding her accountable for her lies. Sorry, Lauren. And that goes to all the MAGA Republicans. But thankfully, the American people see through the lies. They see through the hypocrisy, the contradictions. So that's why people like Donald Trump, Lauren Boebert, and Marjorie Taylor Greene aren't going to have any power or influence come November. They're going to be kicked to the curb, and Donald Trump will be walking back to Mar-a-Lago to sit on Truth Social all day, play a couple rounds of golf, and call it a day. That's what's going to happen in November, and I can't wait to vote for President Joe Biden. Anyway, I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you being here. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. Also, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about all of this. And of course, I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.